I'm Martin Thomas, and it's Wednesday, the 17th of April, 2024. Welcome to the 7-Minute Briefing Podcast, your roundup of news from the Middle East and North Africa, brought to you by Sat7. Easter celebrations across the region were muted this month, as conflict in the Holy Land and the fresh involvement of Iran dominated headlines, and a war between generals continues to ravage Sudan. The Middle East found itself on a knife edge last weekend after Iran launched 300 missiles and drones at Israel. The Islamic Republic's first direct assault on Israel from its own soil rather than its proxies. The attack was a retaliation for a suspected Israeli attack on the 1st of April on Iran's Syrian consulate, which killed 7 Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders, including Iran's top general in Syria and Lebanon. Israel and its allies, including the UK, intercepted almost all of the projectiles. Tehran said it had concluded its response, but threatened worse if Israel struck back. Allies urged Israel to exercise restraint, fearing a war that could spiral out of control with devastating effect for the wider region. Israel has said it is weighing possibilities. Our urgent prayer is that this will not happen. Some Christians in the Middle East and North Africa celebrated Western Easter on the 31st of March, while others will mark Eastern Orthodox Easter, which falls on the 5th of May. This year's Easter celebrations across the Holy Land were subdued. In Gaza City, Christians who have found refuge in the Holy Family Church brought palm branches to the Palm Sunday service. One of their priests said the congregation has been enduring relentless Calvary for months. Sat7 broadcast Good Friday and Easter Sunday services live from the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Bethlehem. The church's pastor, Dr. Muntha Isaac, told Al Jazeera English, "In Palestine, our Good Friday has lasted way too long, but Easter reminds us that the final word belongs to God. Our belief in the God of the resurrection means that ultimately goodness, righteousness, justice will prevail." The first quarter of this year up to Easter and beyond has seen almost unparalleled increases in conflict across the region. And conflict continues to be one of the top 5 issues facing the Middle East, which was highlighted by Dr. Ascott in a recent episode. You can listen to Dr. Ascott and Archbishop Angelos from the Coptic Orthodox Church on our 7-minute briefing interviews. Just scroll through the app to find the episode. And look out for more briefing interviews over the coming months. It's now 1 year since rival military leaders plunged Sudan into a disastrous civil war, creating the world's worst displacement crisis, scattering 8 million people within Sudan and across its borders. Earlier this month, a coalition of anti-war groups known as Tagadum, meaning progress, and comprising political parties, civil society and professional unions, met in Ethiopia. Chaired by former Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, the 2 days of meetings outlined a vision for peace that would include a comprehensive ceasefire, including negotiations and regional monitoring. However, Sudan's acting president, General al-Burhan, and his officials were in no mood to listen. Public prosecutors filed criminal charges against coalition leaders, and al-Burhan gave a message to the nation saying there would be no return to the pre-war era. This has been seen as a rejection of both former President al-Bashir's rule and the 3-year transition towards civilian government. As in many conflicts around the globe, women and children are disproportionately affected by the war in Sudan. Women are at risk of gender-based violence, particularly those who have been displaced, and around 14 million children are now in need of humanitarian assistance. Sat7's Easter appeal drew attention to the plight of Sudanese women and showed how Sat7 is helping to tell their stories of faith. You can read more by clicking on the link in the show notes. Sadly, the dire situation for women in Afghanistan only deteriorates. Near the end of last month, the nation's state television broadcast a voice message from the Taliban's supreme leader, in which he promised to reinstate the public flogging and stoning to death of women for adultery, describing it as part of the Taliban's battle against Western democracy. A female former civil servant told The Telegraph how constricted life in Afghanistan has become since the Taliban's return in 2021. "We, the women, are living in prison," she said, "and the Taliban are making it smaller for us every passing day." Afsoon, a young female Sat7 viewer, got in touch to say, "If only I had wings, I would fly to a place where I would be allowed to go to school and study, because here in Afghanistan, I am not allowed to study." Pray for Afghanistan's women and ask that the threatened punishments will not go ahead. Thank you for listening to the 7-Minute Briefing podcast from Sat7. You can read more about the escalation of tensions across the region in our briefing long read article online, where we also cover the appetite for change in political leadership in Turkey and how fresh moves are underway to improve women's rights and equality in Morocco. See today's show notes for more details, and to stay up to date with the latest news and monthly updates, sign up at sat7uk.org.